Yeah, I want to talk about a little bit how to monitor the DAX, even when that's not 100% correct, because yeah, I'm working at Deutsche Börse. This is a German stock exchange. We are most famous for the DAX, which is our index, and of course the trading platform itself is called Xetra and Eurex. Yeah, a little bit short about me. As said, my name is Jens Kühnel. I'm Linux user since 1995 and involved in open source. Since 2000, was a freelance trainer, author, and system administrator. And since 2015, I'm working as a system administrator at Deutsche Börse. I was previously already working as a freelancer at Deutsche Börse, and then they said, hey, come join us as an employee. And because it's so early in the morning and I want to make sure that everyone is awake, can everybody please stand up? Who started with with OMD before it was called Checkmk? Can you raise your hand, please? Okay. So I'm also started with OMD in 2012. And I'm Checkmk personally. I'm a Checkmk raw user since day one. So when you think Deutsche Börse, German stock exchange, please close your eyes and think about German stock exchange. Okay, now open your eyes. Who had this in his mind? Please sit down. Okay. I only wanted to know, so when I say it, so I would say about 10–15% are still standing. Thank you, you can also sit down now. Because, yeah, this is what most people think of. When I say I'm working at Deutsche Börse, they always say, oh, and which on the floor, where do you sit? No. This is, of course, important, especially for the Tagesschau and for other news items when they have to report from the stock exchange. You will see this. But what we really do, or we do that as well, of course, but what we really do is look more like this. We are an IT company with 11,000 employees in over 50 locations. We can trace our origin back to 1585, when the Frankfurt Stock Exchange was started. And what we do is we develop and run trading systems. So we have a long trading, the trading application itself is developed by us in-house, and it's not only run in our or for the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, but also for other stock exchanges. And we support the whole value chain. What are the areas that we have? We are, as I said, do a lot of things. I'm only involved in a very small corner there. So we have the pre-trading and the post-trading involved as well. I'm involved more in the cash and derivatives trading, so Xetra and Eurex. Our department is also always called XEOPS, Xetra, Eurex Operations. And we are also involved, my department is also involved in the clearing of the whole thing. Deutsche Börse also has the energy exchange in Leipzig, which we run, but that's another department. How do I explain it to my family and to other people who are not in IT what we are doing? This is the DAX. I think everybody knows this is always in the big room in the trading hall. You see that. DAX goes up, great, perfect. DAX goes down, yeah, can happen. It's not great, but it's okay. Yes, stocks goes up, stocks goes down. This is when we are in the news. Then we are in Tagesthemen, and this is what we try to avoid. Of course, I'm not alone there. I'm working as part of a team, and the unit where I work is for the OS infrastructure for trading and clearing. We are running primarily RHEL 8 machines now. We still have a couple of RHEL 7s. Yes, I know we are in the process of upgrading, but we have a lot of RHEL 9 machines as well. Monitoring, of course, I'm standing here. Yes, we're using Checkmk. And we also use Grafana with Telegraph and Influx. Why, I will tell a little bit later, why we're not only using Checkmk. Our logs are managed by Greylog and Grafana Loki. We have both because we are not sure which one we want to use. And our hosts are managed by Attix Ocarino. For the people who know this Red Hat satellite server, the same thing in green. Yes, it's really green because it's based on the same software as the Red Hat satellite server, but with Puppet support. Red Hat dropped the Puppet support, and that's the reason why we had to look for something else. Why we use Puppet, I will also explain later. We do our virtualization with Ref, with Red Hat virtualization. And yes, we are doing a lot of on-prem, but we have also cloud and OpenShift, which is handled just starting this year by a different department, a different group inside our department with our colleagues who moved over to the OpenShift. A little bit about Checkmk at Deutsche Börse. So we have two installations. We have a development and we have a production system. The first line is always the production system, and the second one is the development system. So we have about 100 to 90 users. We have 90,000 and 75,000 services by 1,500 hosts on both sides. We're running this whole thing clustered on a RHEL cluster. So it's a normal cluster that moves from one data center to the other data in case of something happens. Of course, Deutsche Börse should not have this flat line, so everything we do is high available. Because I've been asked, hey, how big it is, and the last talk it was also asked how big it is. So I looked it up. So we have a machine with 2 times 2 times 10 times 1 core. We always disable hyper-threading. More about that also later, with 250 gigabytes of RAM. And we have about a load of 4 and about 10%. So we have just upgraded our hardware because the hardware was too old to support RHEL 9. Yeah, we bought a quite big one, and at the moment it's really, really idling. Our Checkmk team, let's say this is the administrator who really can do something like changing rules and stuff like that. We are 2.5 people, down from 3.5 people, but it's not like these 2.5 people are only for Checkmk. No, that's part of our stuff. We do that together with our daily work. We have 2 Checkmk developers who are developing checks for our services that we want to monitor more precisely. And we started with OMD, Nagios, and Checkmk around 2012, so quite early. And we are Checkmk enterprise customers since 2015. And I've been told we are one of the early customers who monitor Checkmk with OpenShift with Checkmk. That was especially Sandro who did this, and also had a lot of requests and saying, hey, this is the area where we need more information. What we did after we started, as I said, 2012, we realized that our setup looks strange, and we learned a lot about Checkmk during the time, and in 2019 we decided to request help from a consultant from Checkmk to come over, and we throw away our whole monitoring and started from a fresh installation and started everything new. One of the things that we learned, or that we realized, instead of 60 different cluster rules, we had 1. And that's a lot of other things where we organize it differently, where we say, hey, we know better how to structure the things so that our rules can only be applied to certain areas and stuff like that. So that was really helpful, especially because a lot of things where we said, we are not sure how to do it this way or this way. And then the consultant can say, hey, do it this way because of this stuff that we didn't think about. Really helped a lot also with the performance because it's much more easier to manage now the system with all the information in. Yeah, we have a lot of self-developed plugins, both as agents and check plugins. So really developed, not like something with MRPE or Nagios plugins, but our own. We are monitoring our AMQP broker. We're using InfiniBand, and we're using precision time protocols. And 3 of our internal software is also monitored with that. External stuff, we are using HPE OneView from SVA. Thank you. I don't know where they are, the SVA guys, and the SSL cert stuff from Heinlein. Thanks for that. At the moment, we have our plugins in a Git repository that are mounted into, or that are cloned into our Checkmk installation, but we are planning now to move everything to an MKP so that we can plan better the updates now with the different version that we can have and to support that. Our wish list that we have, it's something like, hey, we want to have our Git repository and say, make a package, and then we can automatically distribute it to ours. I see other people like that as well, so this is something on our wish list. And especially for our production system. Development is something else, not always 100%, but in production, we are trying to get clean monitoring. So when you come in, we have, as a lot of people, we have a big screen. It should be clean. It should be empty. One thing is, yes, we have production development, production, production minute, that's not clean. But development is not clean, it's no problem. Production not clean, we have to have a look. One thing that we did, we create some different tags for the application operators, so that are really running the trading application on our operating system. That's one tag, and then we have the operating system. That's what we are looking at. And there we have tags. So when we look at it, we don't see the application where that says, hey, we have a problem that one of the application, which is redundant anyway, but still has a problem, stuff like that, we don't see normally. Of course, we can have a look, but our default view plugs that out. One rule, and yes, we are still working on that, that's something that we are not 100%, is when someone works on a problem, it should be acknowledged. Yeah, so otherwise what can happen, 2 people see, oh, it's a problem, one starts, and the other goes to the same system and has a look, and then they're stepping on each other's toes. When we do a reboot, we captured or we took over the reboot command. So when you type in on our machine reboot, first thing is we don't reboot immediately. We only always wait a minute and have a big banner saying, hey, you're rebooting this machine now. Are you sure? You have 1 minute to cancel. Again, why did this happen? Yeah, because I rebooted the machine, which was wrong. And so you learn and you make that better. And then we added this one that automatically sets the downtime. So when I do a reboot, it automatically we have an automation user in Checkmk that automatically sets the downtime. And when we have a look, when we have services that are checked or acknowledged or set in downtime for a very long time, then we say, hey, then you don't need the monitoring, then we kick the monitoring out. Also, when it's written, when there's a problem and the problem stays there for 2 days, you don't need the monitoring because you don't look at it, then we can remove it. Not that we always do that, but always the threat to do that sometimes help. But the main reason is we have someone who really cares. Greeting goes out to Spindi, who always really kick people and saying, hey, do it. because otherwise it would not be as clean. Because when Checkmk consultant or sales comes to us, they're always surprised, oh, it's clean. Yeah, of course it's clean. But really the most important thing is you need someone who cares and takes it. Our wish list here is I really, really want to have this traffic light so that we have in our room, we have a traffic light where it says green color depending on what's the state of our production monitoring. Problem is we have a lot of regulatory requirements, so it's very hard to get this information out of our production area. And we have, what I really like is to have tags for log files, but I've already talked to colleagues from Checkmk here, and I already know the solution for that. Another question, because it's early in the morning, can anyone stand up, please, who is regulatory, who has is under regulatory constraint? Okay, so it's not Frankfurt. In Frankfurt, half the room will be standing, because we have the fun of twice the regulatory than normal. We are both a bank and we are a stock exchange. So we can have a lot of regulatory fun. We have our production network is air-gapped, so no, you cannot SSH into the machine directly. There's a couple of steps you have to do. It's always nice when some security tool says, oh yeah, but we need internet access. No. Hard, of course, nothing is impossible. Our configuration changes are always done on the weekend. This is also the reason why we use Puppet. We prepare everything during the week, and on the weekend, not all the things, but a lot of things can be done. Okay, on the weekend we use a Puppet run over all the system that needs it, and then then the changes is done. Not as complicated as it is. And yeah, a lot of others. We had a look at Ansible, and with Ansible we had a lot of problems that it's complaining because, hey, when it creates a directory and then put a file into the directory and you run in check mode, it tells you, hey, I cannot create this file because this directory was not created, and stuff like that. So that's the reason why we are still running Puppet, or we're running Puppet. I created our own crypto policy, so to comply to our security requirements, I created a crypto policy. For the people who are not Red Hat user, crypto policy is a central way to configure all cryptographic mechanisms in one place. So you don't have to configure Apache and Java and SSH and differently. It's in one place, you configure it once, it rolls out and works fine. And everything that we do is redundant, so a server that we only have once is in development, yes, but in production it's normally not the case. Why is this so special about our setup? T7 is the trading application that is used for different stock exchanges, mainly for Xetra Eurex. And we have a lot of system tunings that we do. When you tune something, you always need a target, and our first target is fairness. If you want to, we want to make sure that all customers have equal access. And the second one is we try to make it low latency. So yes, we have a lot of stocks trading, and most people heard about high frequency trading. Yes, of course, you can do that with us as well. How works trading overall? At the end, it's a list of people who want to sell something and people who want to buy the same thing. And what we do is we do a matching. So we check, hey, he wants to buy it for, let's say, VW Aktien, VW stocks for €5. I don't know what the current price is, so I only take any number. And Otherson says, hey, I want to sell it for €5, and then they are matched, and automatically the new price of the stock is €5. Of course, it's a little bit more complicated, and the important thing is when two people want to sell the same stock, the one that came in earlier wins. And that's the reason why it's important that the latency is low, because, hey, we want to make sure that he can send in the trade as fast as possible. We used a real-time kernel, a Red Hat real-time kernel before, but we removed that because the necessary patches are now in the normal RHEL and are not needed anymore. And we also used InfiniBand before. and we're still using it. We are still in the process of moving to Ethernet because we realized with a 100 gigabit Ethernet, the latency is slow enough. We don't need a special overhead over InfiniBand. What we do is we do a lot of tuning, and that starts with already the selected CPUs and the selected machines. So we have special hardware with selected CPUs to have a very low frequency. And a very high frequency and very predictable frequency. We disable all power statement. Also, yes, sorry, I don't know who the colleague from before was, who said, yeah, efficiency, yeah, but we have to disable the power saving states because this creates latency changes, and we don't want that. Of course, not on all machines. We have special, we really decide which machines are important, and we really have to do that. It's not that we turn it off on all machines. And hyperthreading is something that we turn off because it's also, sometimes it works this way, sometimes it works this way. This is not always reproducible. That creates different timings. We try to avoid that. We have real-time priority processes, and we have our special profiles that specify the OS or limit the OS to certain CPU cores, and then pin the critical processes to another CPU, especially the same CPU that has direct connection to the network card. I don't know if you've seen how much information you have about NUMA. So this is the NUMA core. It's a smaller machine with only 2 NUMA cores. And here we have our CPUs with different caches. And you see exactly how the PCI devices are connected. And we have, for example, here, this is fiber channel. So our trading application would be running here so that they have direct access to the fiber channel, and not that the information for the fiber channel have to switch the NUMA nodes and then go to, so when it would be running here, it would have first move over to the different NUMA node and then to the InfiniBand. This would create latency. We try to avoid that. Another question for the room. NTP, who uses NTP? Okay, everybody who's not raising his hand, I would be surprised. Who heard of PTP or uses PTP? Okay, a couple. Oh, more than I thought. Okay, it was something that's really special. So PTP is a precision time protocol. What we are doing is we are, especially our network colleagues, of course, they are measuring the network cables because this is a meter, and a meter is 2 nanoseconds. And yes, we are measuring so precise that our customers, not only we, but our customers will realize, hey, wait a second, this cable is shorter than the others. Surprisingly, what the people find there. So we have a dedicated network team for distribution time information. And we're not using the normal PTP, but the precision time protocol. And what we're doing is we have built-in hardware clocks inside the network card. So when the trade from our customer comes in, it gets a timestamp, so that we exactly can be sure, yes, this order came in before that order. So later on, when it's big trade, that can make a huge amount of difference. And that's the reason we have this special network. And that is also the reason why we are not only using Checkmk, because we have the regulatory requirement that we save a lot of this information, including the timestamp of every machine that is involved, and every second we have to measure this and keep it for 10 years. And this is where, even when Checkmk, when we just rolled out our system, and then Checkmk announced, now we can do second and sub-second intervals. First, it was already too late, and when we told them, oh, by the way, we need 10 years, and you're not allowed to compress the data like RD normally does. So that's the reason why we're using Influx as a database source here. And Grafana as a web interface, but of course we have Checkmk in Grafana as well. So this is how it looks like. I simply took one machine. This is, of course, Grafana, and yeah, you see here this is a number of nanoseconds, and yes, we have some machine where it's really, yes, we notice the meter. No, sorry, this is Checkmk. In Checkmk, we also monitor it, because what we have here is, we see here the warning and critical. This is the output of Checkmk. And you see, of course, yes, we measure it so precise, but not every delay is automatically a warning. So we measure it, but important is the overall time, and we have warning there as well. This is the same information in Grafana. Yeah, and this is an overview of our trading platform. Of course, yes, it's simplified as always, but here we have our customers, and because our customers want to trade very fast and have a low latency, they are not running somewhere, but most of the trading runs by application nowadays, by tools that are running directly on the hardware. And they can book room in our customer rooms. They can put their rack in there, a normal co-location. And then they are connected directly to our hubs. And these are the machines that take on the trades. And you all see the small clock here. And here the timestamp is set. And then it goes to the matcher. The matcher is the one that really does the, hey, put them together and saying, yes, they fit together. This is the next trade, this is the next trade, this is the next trade. Yeah, my working title here was every meter counts, because the delay is so important. And that's the reason why we have here for cheaper customers who don't want to pay so much money. We have a special delay inserted where it's okay, if you want to have a bargain price, you don't get so close to the trading system. We put in some delays, and then it's much cheaper, and then you can trade there as well. Yeah, that's for. Thanks for your attention. I also. I also want to thank my colleagues at Deutsche Börse who are working with me every day, and also for Checkmk for inviting me. And if you think, oh yeah, this is nice, I want to know more, this is a web page where you can have much more detailed information that I gave you here. It's about a 2-hour PDF for about a 2-hour presentation from people who know much more details, especially about the trading application, because I'm primarily on the operating system side.
We actually have some questions for you.
Oh, what a surprise.
Yeah. Are you using the event console?
Yes, we're using Event Console, both for application logs as well as for our operating system stuff. And we have our rules held in Event Console. And that's the reason why I want these tags for log files, because I want to have the operating system view and the application view. At the moment when a log file pops up, it always shows in both, because we haven't logged it, we haven't tagged it yet. And this is, of course, sometimes not so nice when I see something that I cannot fix anyway, or the application people see some OS guy where some internal problem happened from the kernel that they cannot fix. So this is something that, yeah, it's a low prio, but yeah, we want to fix that.
What Checkmk version are you on? In production?
2.2 in production and 2.3 in development. So we're always Spindi, who is. Okay, I'm not surprised to get for that. I get an applause. No, we are especially my colleague who is doing a lot of that. He always pushes for running the newest version.
How is Checkmk 2.3 going for you?
What?
How is Checkmk 2.3 going for you?
Works.
Okay, cool.
The only problem that we have at the moment is I know Sandro, our colleague, who's now doing primarily OpenShift. He had some problems with the new OpenShift integration because we are running. I'm not sure exactly which version we were running before because we were so early on, and there are some. I know they are working at the moment to do some cleanup.
Then we need to fix it. Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they are. I know only that there was some problems and that he had a testing machine set up to check what's exactly going on.
Okay, how are you monitoring the latency?
The latency. This is we use a PTP service, and he generates a temporary file with all the information, and the Checkmk reads this file, parses it, and puts it in. Checkmk only does that only once per minute, so as a normal check. And we have a telegraph agent who reads the same file and puts every second information into. So this file is generated, I don't know how often, but very often, and you can always read it and then parse the data and send it out. So it's a normal check which reads the file, parses it, and reads the file, send it to Checkmk, Checkmk parses it and processes it.
I like some of the questions.
When you like the questions.
The one which I just read is you make it on purpose slower for some customers. So you intentionally delay.
No, we make
customers.
it cheaper for them. You have to see it correctly.
It's a good idea.
But that's way above my pay grade. So I know that it's there. I'm not involved in that.
Okay. Regarding the clean monitoring, yeah. I mean, you said basically if you decide, like, if someone doesn't solve the problem, then at some point you say we remove it from the monitoring because then it's not a real problem, yeah. But wouldn't it also be an option just to report it to management?
We thread that. So we're saying, hey, when you don't fix it, we will kick you out. And normally that helps. I'm not sure. I have to ask Spindi if we really did it. Normally we only threaten to do that, and that helps.
Okay, what check intervals are configured and which downtimes are acceptable in minutes per year for a system for you?
During trading hour, 0. I know I talked to some people, for example, at Booking. They have this downtime counter where they say, okay, this amount of downtime per year we can accept. Every downtime we have during the trading hours is one too many. Of course, we have the weekends. This is where we can do stuff. And sometimes even in the evening, depending on what it is and how it works. So normally when something breaks, most of the time it falls over, and then, for example, the repair of the redundant system on the during the week in the evening, late in the evening, or on the weekend.
And what is the check interval that you use?
1 minute. Nothing changed. Normal default.
So
for Checkmk, as I said, some other stuff we have Telegraph, which does it once per second or once per 10 seconds, depends. But the normal Checkmk, it's 1 minute.
And I think you need to explain a little bit the production and the dev environment, because we got the question if we export rules from dev to production. But I think you need to explain what dev and production means actually for you.
Okay, also production is where people trade. We have we have 2 networks, and the production network has production and has simulation. Simulation is exactly the same software as production, where the developer from the customers can test stuff, and there you can buy trades, buy stocks as much as you like, and nothing happens really. You only can check that all the trading is working. These are in our production Checkmk instance. And no, we don't have any automatic move over, because there's a couple of rules that are really different. We normally check when we in development. This is where the developer works, but also where our acceptance testing runs. So of course, when you make a change to a trading application, you have to prove that what you're doing is correct, and there's a lot of tests going on. Yeah, these are a completely different Checkmk instance, but we don't have any copy rules from from development to production. We normally test stuff first, of course, in development. Really testing, so development from new plugins and stuff like that, we have a small instance extra where everybody who wants can have his own instance, and then they can play around with it and test and learn and develop code. And development is the downtime. When the machine in development is down, that simply means our colleagues from development can maybe not work there at the moment or cannot test there or stuff like that. It's still bad for them because, hey, they cannot work at the moment, but it's not that we are in Tagesthemen or in the news for any problems.
Are you using the business intelligence feature?
Not yet, not that I'm aware of, let's say this way. The whole thing started more from the OS side, where I say, hey, we need some kind of monitoring. I suggested, hey, this looks good. My colleagues said, oh yeah, looks really good. Let's do this. And now it's step by step, but sooner or later, I'm pretty sure we will do something like that. But at the moment, it's not. Because it's not the only monitoring for the trading application. They have a lot of other internal stuff there as well, yeah, not in Checkmk at the moment, no.
So I think we saw before that you're running Checkmk as a clustered service with Red Hat Cluster. Do you?
Yeah.
Is that an official Expo supported feature? Someone is asking, I don't know.
Is that an official supported feature? We're running with it without problems. There is an this is cluster service tool that automatically checks that Checkmk is running. It worked great. I mean, we do an OMD stop there and OMD start there, and the file system moves over to the other side. We never came to the idea of asking if that's supported or not. We're simply doing it. I can tell you when you're running SE Linux enabled that you have to make some changes, because normally the normal installation runs perfectly. But when you run it as a cluster, then automatically the HTTP-DT gets a different security label. And then you have to make some changes because there are a couple of files that are normally written as unconfined, they are now confined, and so you have to make a little bit. You have to create some SE Linux rules to make it work, but it works good. And I'm not sure if we open support cases that we tell you that we do that, yeah, no, it works. It works. We had a couple of problems where we have we had to increase the timeout of the cluster services because Checkmk takes a little bit longer than the, I think, 10 seconds that they normally wait for a service to start. And when we increased that, and before we increased it, we had a problem that it moved over too fast. And then we had the problem that automatically all the master switches were all turned off. And we have to remember that we have to turn it on. That was the only thing that we had.
Okay. How do you do on-call? How do you do alerting with Checkmk? Do you have another tool for that? Do you use Checkmk email notifications?
No, we have early shift and late shift and standby, and they have to look into the monitoring and react to that. We have a couple of emails that are sent out, but it's not automatically call system. We have enough people who have to, especially during the trading hours, we have people who his job is to look regularly into the monitoring. And handle that.
I saw it when I did a video call with Sandro, his colleague, once, and I saw basically there's a big dashboard there, a big screen, and that's one, and I was like, it's always empty. And that was what surprised me so much, because mostly when I look at Checkmk stuff, I see at least a couple of alerts. And that's why I think you're working a lot in the office, or how does it work for you?
Let's say the Checkmk team works primarily in the office. Yeah, sometimes, of course, when something is, and then but we try to be in the office as often as possible, because the communication, especially is monitoring. Hey, have everybody seen that? Is someone already working on it? It's easier when it's in the same office as compared.
Now you understand why he wants a traffic light in the office, so that it becomes very clear if there's an alert. Then you don't need email notifications if you have the physical alerting system.
Yeah, and that's the reason we have the big screen. And most of us have a special screen. One of the 3 screens there is only there for monitoring.
Okay. I think as the last question, why is the delay for every meter only 2 nanoseconds? Shouldn't it be 3.3 nanoseconds? I think speed of light is 300.
Yeah, but speed of light in a fiber channel is different than in air, and I think I calculated it correctly, but I have to have a check. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, yeah.
And I take that with me, and I will have a look, and I ask our colleagues, because I'm not involved in this measurement. As I said, I'm the OS guy. I'm not involved in the.
You see, but it's good. Someone really cared about what you wrote on the slides. Yeah, so.
But I will have a check. I will do that. Yes. Sorry if it's wrong. It's possible. I checked it, and I asked my colleague to do the calculation as well, and he said no, it's correct. So we'll see.
Okay, then thanks very much, Jens.
Thank you.